Whether it's your first shopping choice or not, traditional supermarkets are a big part of U.S. wine sales. I couldn't tell you the last time I shopped at one for wine, but I made my way to the local supermarket in search of good, solid values that people can generally find in most U.S. markets. I bought 3 wines, each from family-owned wineries. All have good availability in the U.S., and 2 that are broadly sold in international markets. The first wine up is the 2023 Wente Family Vineyards Morning Fog Chardonnay from the central coast of California. Half of the wine is fermented in neutral oak, the other half in stainless steel. Expect to pay around $13. So this first wine is sold in 75 countries around the world. And Wente is one of the very early California wineries to build an international export market. When I lived in Australia, I worked with Wente wines. Recently, when I was in Malaysia, sure enough, there's more Wente wines. So it definitely does get around. Also, Wente has a long history with Chardonnay. Back over 100 years ago, they brought vines over from Burgundy. Those vines were propagated to a point that today around 75% of the Chardonnay vineyards in California have a link back to those original vines brought by Wente. So long history with Chardonnay at Wente. Now the color on this, very pale, just as expected. And the aroma, really wonderful. There's a very lifted, citrusy character, a bit lemony. There's also a green apple note to it, but really does have nice intensity and very good purity. On the palate, this is just classic Chardonnay. The fruit is ripe. Again, that citrus, green apple character is there. There's nice volume on the palate, and because this wine does get some lees contact, some lees stirring, it adds some volume, weight, a little heft to the palate. Plenty of weight here. Nicely balanced. The acidity is quite lifted, quite typical of what you'll find with Central Coast Chardonnay. So it has that crispness, that vitality to it. Finishes very dry. There's a little bit of a creamy character to it as well. Now the oak component here very much is a supporting role. This is more based on bright fruit and richness in terms of that fruit intensity. So if you're a big fan of that butter bomb, oaky style Chardonnay, this is probably not for you. But if you're looking for something that is brighter, fresher, has that expressive character to it and freshness, I think this will be spot on. I really do like this wine. Next up is the 2022 Lohr 7 Oaks Cabernet Sauvignon from Paso Robles, California. Aged 1 year in American oak, 20% in new oak. The price is around $15. So I've been a big fan of Lohr wines for a number of years, and when I go back to the days when I had my wine shop before I sold it, Lohr was a big part of it. I think there were months where sales of Lohr wines maybe paid the rent. Now, it's now the largest selling Paso Cabernet Sauvignon brand. It's sold in many export markets around the world. And I think one of the most amazing things about this wine is the price has barely budged over the last 30 years or so. Maybe it's up a few dollars. So the wines have long been very good value. And in today's market, where a lot of wines are climbing up in price, I think this one really does deliver good value. Now the color on this has some nice deep color to it. Moderately deep is what I'd call it. A little fade out at the edge of the glass, but the color looks very good. And the aroma is dark fruit, a little bit of that blackberry cassis note to it. Bit of a chocolatey character here, and from the American oak, you do get a little bit of this baking spice character, very typical for American oak. Yeah, good intensity, nice ripeness here, smells very good. On the palate, there's some nice weight here. It's very well balanced, good structure to it, very soft. The fruit character is ripe. And on the back palate, you do get just a slight bit of tannin, but the wine is soft, round. This is the type of wine that a broad audience of people would like. I mean, it's very accessible. I think the wine is really rock solid from start to finish. This is really a good example of base level Paso Cabernet Sauvignon. I think value for the money, it's really strong. If you've not yet subscribed to my channel, please take a moment to do it right now. Also hit that like button. These things very much do help to get my videos out to a broader audience. It's much appreciated. The third wine is the 2022 Bogle Old Vine Zinfandel from Lodi, California. The fruit is sourced from 60 to 80-year-old vines. The price is typically under $10. Here's another example of a family-owned winery that has a great reputation for value for the money. Oh, this is nice. Wine is sunlight held together by water. Now, Lodi is up at the northern end of the Central Valley. This is an area that long ago had a reputation for bulk wines, jug wines, that sort of thing. In recent years, the wine quality there has very much improved. Now, Zinfandel has long been planted in that area, and there still are some very old vines, and that's what forms the basis for this wine. Old vines provide a couple of benefits. The yields tend to be lower, the clusters are smaller, the berries are smaller, and the fruit tends to be much more concentrated. Now, this wine is aged in American oak for 1 year, and very typical of Zinfandel. Now, the color on this, moderately deep, and again, very typical of what you'll find with Zin. The aroma has some very nice dark fruit character. There's a bit of a dark cherry, raspberry note, a little bit smoky, a little spicy. There's almost a bit of a peppery character. And there's also a baking spice component here. And again, that's very typical of what you'll find with American oak. Yeah, this smells really nice. On the palate, very nice. The fruit purity is evident. Again, that dark fruit note is there, the raspberry, dark cherry characteristic, that spiciness is there. And something that is very common in Zinfandel. It's a grape variety that notoriously does not ripen evenly. On a single vine, you can find berries that are perfectly ripe, you can find others that are actually quite underripe, and some where the grape skins can be shriveling and the fruit is a bit overripe. This has some of that character to it. You can tell that the fruit has this brightness and there's a vitality to it. The acidity is actually rather lifted. And remember, this is a warm growing area. The alcohol here ticks in at 14.5, but there's still some good acidity. And oftentimes that can be provided by some fruit, a small percentage that's a bit underripe. I think the wine is very nice. The back palate is extremely soft. It's weighty, it's full. I'm a big fan of Zinfandel, and I think for the money, this is really outstanding. This can go with a wide range of foods, and it's just a great value. I really do like this. I spent a good part of my corporate life as a director of wine over 2 large supermarket chains. And with that, I thought I had a good idea of how to build out today's video. But it still came with a surprise, and here it is. At the store that I shopped at, I carved out an area on the store shelves. 100 wines, 100 SKUs, and I assigned each individual wine to its supplier partner. What I found was this: 74 of the 100 wines came from just one of 5 large mega wine companies. Feels a bit corporatized, commoditized, homogenized, kind of boring. Also, in terms of pricing, supermarkets tend to be a little bit on the higher side, certainly when you compare it to club stores like a Costco, but it's even more expensive generally than small format grocery like a Trader Joe's or a Total Wine, which is a discount specialty retailer. Now, I do get a chance to travel overseas often, and my feeling is U.S. supermarkets can certainly take some lessons from some of the other wine retailers around the world. As for today's video, 3 very good values. Wines that have a sense of place, they can generally be found without a whole lot of trouble. If you're looking for more videos on values, click the link. As for me, I'll be enjoying a bit of the Zin. I hope you're drinking something interesting as well. And as always, please stop back again Cheers.